11 Alive News at 6 p.m. starts now.
Good evening, I'm Joe Henke. First on 11 Alive, this is now the second weekend in under a month where a shooting in the city of Atlanta led to teenagers being killed. Last night in the Greenbrier neighborhood, 5 children ranging in ages from 11 to 16 were shot. 2 of the kids, a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old, were killed, and we have just learned their names within the past hour. 11 Alive's Don White was on the scene last night at the retreat at Greenbrier Apartments along Continental Colony Parkway. She joins us now, and Don, we're starting to hear from the family of at least one of the boys.
Well, Joe, that is right. I'm going to be talking to the family of one of the victims. And the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office, they tell us just hours ago that they have identified both of the victims. One of them is 14-year-old Malik Grover. He is from Fayetteville, and the other victim is 16-year-old Justin Powell. He is from Atlanta. Atlanta police say that this investigation is active and ongoing. Saturday turned out to be a terrifying experience for those who live at the retreat at Greenbrier Apartments along Continental Colony Parkway Southwest.
Multiple people were shooting, so that's a fair assessment to say it was a shootout.
Police say even more disturbing is the reason behind the shootout.
We know that there was some type of dispute on social media that escalated to gunfire. One group of individuals came to the apartment with their guns, and then the other group fired their weapons.
In addition to Grover and Powell, the 2 teen boys killed. The shooting hurt 3 other kids.
There were some injured parties inside, and those individuals were transported to local hospitals, and then the 2 decedents were outside.
Police say one of the young people shot is a preteen.
We had 3 people transported to local hospitals. One is a 15-year-old female, one is an 11-year-old male, and then we have another 15-year-old male.
Fortunately, those 3 young people are expected to survive.
And we're asking anyone that was here that know any information that they can call Crime Stoppers where they can't remain anonymous.
Hear how the victim's family would like for them to be remembered. That'll be coming up tonight at 11. In Southwest Atlanta, I'm Dawn White, 11 Alive News.
When we hear of young people gunned down, young people unable to reach their destiny in life, it tugs at us, it pulls at us, and it calls us to action.
Well, 3 days ago, Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens on the steps of City Hall stood next to several Atlanta public school students. They gathered for a rally against youth violence in the wake of 2 kids being gunned down 3 weeks ago, feet from Atlantic Station. This afternoon, Mayor Dickens issued a statement through the city's Twitter account. He wrote his heart is broken for the families of the victims and that, quote, I have anger in my soul. Dickens also touched on that at Thursday night's rally, saying, quote, it's time to end this epidemic of gun violence that is taking our young people's lives. We have Mayor Dickens' full statement right now on 11alive.com. With each shooting involving teens in Atlanta, the calls for solutions not only continue but intensify. 11 Alive's Karis Belger talked with community members about the issue.
But these children are shooting guns at each other, and that's the saddest thing.
Gwen Smith says she was saddened to hear about the shooting near her complex that left 2 teens dead and 3 more children in the hospital.
And I pray that our children will take heed and find better solutions when they get upset.
Saturday night shooting at the retreat at Greenbrier Apartments has joined a growing list of gun-related incidents that's led to the deaths of teens in metro Atlanta. Bruce Griggs is a community activist and the founder of Operation Correct Start, Inc. He says combating teen violence will require new solutions.
It is a disease. We've got to start attacking this as a public health issue.
Griggs says there's more likelihood of these incidents with children being out of school for the holidays.
A lot of people look at the holidays as a joyful time, a time of giving, happiness, but a lot of these kids that I deal with, it's not that cool to not have to go to school, because for some of these young people, school is the only safe haven they have. School is the only place that they get a well-balanced meal. It's that important for them.
Like Griggs, Smith says more community intervention will be needed to prevent more tragedy.
We don't need the war in the community, and especially our children.
Karis Belger, 11 Alive News.
Even a holiday event today in Southwest Atlanta focused on the violence involving Atlanta's children. A tree decorating at Assembly of Truth Ministry near the campus of Spelman College served as a memorial for children killed in Georgia due to gun violence. Ornaments were created with each youth's name on it, and they were placed on the tree as each one's name was called. In his statement today, Mayor Dickens also said gun violence is the leading cause of death for adolescents in the United States. A recent study published through Emory University backs up his claim, finding 1 in 5 adolescent deaths are now caused by guns. And the study's researchers say the numbers, unfortunately, continue to go upward.
If you look at trends over the last 40 years, you'll see that the curves kind of cross the line, cross between motor vehicle collisions and firearm injuries. At one time, firearm injuries were the third cause of death in children. And then somewhere around the mid last decade, they became the second. And as of 2019, they became number 1. So this is something that we've been noticing as a trend that's been increasing over the last few years.
And we'll continue to bring you the latest on this story. To stay connected, head over to 11alive.com. Well, another top story is the holidays are here. Cold temps around much of Georgia. Andrew Wilson joining us with a look at your forecast for this holiday week.
Yeah, Joe, very chilly conditions expected as we head throughout the week ahead. Today was very cold out there, even though it's a very warm look to the sunset. It's not warm at all. If you were outside today, you knew how cool it was. Temperatures only rose up to the mid-40s. 41 right now in Atlanta, though. Feels like 34 because we do have a little bit of a wind chill. Those winds out of the northwest at about 12 miles per hour. Today, again, 46 degrees was the high. We started off at 31. That's well below average. 56 is the average this time of year, so 10 degrees below that. And we are going to be even colder as we head into the end of the week. First of all, for tonight, if you do have any plans to get out here this evening, make sure that you have a heavy jacket because, again, we do have 41 as the temperature, but the feels like temperature right now, that wind chill is at 34 in Atlanta. It's 32 in Canton, 35 in Blairsville. The winds are going to start to calm down a little bit tonight, but cloud cover is going to start to build in, and then we're going to see temperatures drop about to the 30-degree mark there by the time you're waking up at 7 a.m. That cloud cover builds in. That's going to be ahead of our next rain chance. That's really going to move in on Tuesday, and then we're going to have another chance for rain as we head into the end of the week, Thursday night into Friday morning, and that's going to be associated with a more robust cold front. That cold front expected to bring the coldest temperatures since January of 2018, so nearly 5 years. We'll let you know how cold we're going to get and if we're going to see any snow possibly coming up, Joe.
All right, thanks, Andrew. Checking on other headlines this Sunday, Atlanta police blocked off streets in one part of downtown today as detectives investigated a homicide. It happened along Cortlandt Street, that's close to Hilton, Atlanta. APD confirms the person died as the result of a shooting. No word yet on their identity. A chaotic scene in front of an Atlanta nightclub overnight ended with a man shot. APD says his officers tried to clear the intersection of Central Avenue and MLK Jr. Drive to let a fire truck go through. A fight broke out in front of Opium, a nearby club. Police went on to tell us officers used pepper spray on the crowd to try to gain control when someone fired a single shot. That's when a man was shot, but police tell us he's expected to recover. Right now, police are reviewing body cam video, hoping to find the shooter. The prime suspect in the murder of a Gwinnett County corrections officer is now being held without bond. Detectives arrested 22-year-old Yahya Abdul Qadir in Lithonia on Friday. This is in connection to the death of Officer Scott Reiner. He was shot and killed outside the Gwinnett Correctional Center last week. His funeral is scheduled for Tuesday in Lawrenceville. It's now been a week since Eleanor Bowles was stabbed to death at her Buckhead home, and earlier today, friends and family of the 77-year-old grandmother gathered to remember her. The service took place at Atlanta's Holy Innocents Episcopal Church. There were many stories shared about Bowles and her life. The speakers included her son Michael, who says a week ago he discovered the crime scene and called 911. He says his mother's legacy will always be linked to her murder, but her memory is now reaching a wider audience.
Mom watered the garden of her life with love, affection, and humor. The people here in this room are the evidence of exactly what she grew. This was a lightning strike of an event, and I pray that nothing remotely like this happens again to anyone here. But I hope that everyone here can look around and know that if they live their life with love like Mom did, that this is what they receive in return: unconditional love and constant support.
The man accused of stabbing and killing Bowles has been identified by APD as 23-year-old Antonio Brown. He was arrested 2 days after Bowles' death and remains tonight in the Fulton County Jail. The wait for people with disabilities to get approved for federal benefits is soaring here in Georgia and across the country. A backlog of cases from the pandemic coupled with a worker shortage is creating wait times upwards of 2 years. It's time many people with severe disabilities simply do not have. Caitlin Ross is digging into the impact here in Georgia. It's a story you'll see only on 11 Alive.
It's typically a three-step process. Almost everyone is denied the first time they apply, and then most are denied even when they appeal. Finally, the hearing goes to a federal judge. If they finally make it in to see a federal judge, that process is now taking more than 2 years. An attorney I spoke to says people are losing their homes. They can't afford life-saving medications, and if they lose their insurance, they can't afford the tests to prove they're disabled. It's a frustrating process made worse for young people who are even more likely to be denied.
Usually can only physically work like 6 hours a week. I just get so wiped out. So I kind of save like every ounce of energy that I have during the week just for the 6 to 8 hours that I can work here. Because this is the only place where I feel like I'm helping people and I feel normal.
Tonight we're talking to Heather Callahan Williams. She's fighting a rare and terminal form of cancer, and she's been waiting for her disability benefit for more than 2 years.
Well, if you thought today was cold, you have not seen anything yet. Meteorologist Andrew Wilson breaks down how the temps will bottom out going into Christmas weekend coming up.